Hi, good evening, class. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. Yeah.
Hi, good evening. Uh, yeah, we'll kind of stick to the same rules as that of yesterday's session, wherein if you have any question during the session, what you can do is you can just put it in the chat option, uh, and we'll be taking all the questions at the end of the session. Uh, Hopefully yesterday's session was a bit useful in terms of giving you an idea about how to actually go for the studies, how to plan the study, what is so unique about the paper one, or the uniqueness about paper two as well, and what are the major differences, how to plan the study for paper one as well as paper two. Of course, we have got lots of other students who would be joining, but we have today, we have a kind of a limited number to start with. Of course, as we proceed, as we move on, we would have other students who would be joining us, as well as I think my team has already sent you another email yesterday, which gave you the link for the that particular video which we had recorded yesterday, and we have put the video entire discussion on our YouTube channel. So at any point of time, you can actually go through that as well. What we'll be doing is henceforth, some of the videos would be uploaded on the YouTube channel, not all the videos. But for you people, if you want any access of any of the videos which is which you missed up because of some reasons, you can ask me and I'll share on a through some platform on a personal level. Now, the way we would be studying is, on alternative days, we would study paper one as well as paper two. Although we call it paper one, paper two, it's just the format of the paper one or paper two that is different. Otherwise, the conceptually, the things are more or less same, or I would say similar. And in these all sessions, what we would be doing is we would be just focusing on the concepts rather than going to the section number, rule numbers, or the manual of patent practice. And as well as for the drafting part, of course, we would, so on the one day we'll actually see the theoretical part related to paper one. On the next day we'll discuss about only. So one major concern, as I discussed yesterday, wherein most of the students are not in a position to cope up with the in the specifically in the exam about the patent drafting. And once you are pretty much clear about the concepts, then you can, as I said, cover that second part of like the first part of paper two. Okay, so let us start. What I'm going to cover today is two topics. One is the patentability requirement. To start with a very brief, basic understanding about the patent system, the patentability requirements, as well as like what are not non-patentable inventions in India as well. Now, those who have working experience in the field of patents, they may be aware of some of these concepts as such. Reason being key, these are today's session would be kind of fundamentals about the required patentability requirement, what is not patentable in India and all. Okay, so to start with, no, as a patent, as a concept, is something. So now everything, this is like kind of a bookish definition for patent. Okay, we'll start with this only. Now it has got five separate parts. As everyone knows, it patent is a monopoly right. Basically, it's a exclusive right given to you or the one who is inventor or the assignee. Now, patent rights deal with only the research inventions, and for other types of creativities we have to separate other types of intellectual property rights like design, trademark, copyright, and all, right? Those things which are covered under other types of IP are not patentable. Like in one particular subsection of section 3, there is a specific mention that these things are not patentable under Patent Act actually. So other types of, if that creativity is covered under other types of IP right, then it is not covered under the patent. You cannot actually get a patent for that if you have those rights covered under like if they are not basically research related concepts or creativities. Okay, so these are exclusive rights. Second is state. When we say state, that means it's granted by a national government. Now so when we are speaking about patent agent exam, our focus has been to India. We'll be studying the Indian Patent Act. The patent granted in India is granted by the Indian central government. As such, it has nothing to do with the state governments, means the government of Maharashtra, Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, or UP. They have nothing to do with the grant of a patent, right? So it is, and basically the patent office comes under DPIIT, which is which was earlier also called as DIPP, Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. And this department is a part of Ministry of Commerce and Industries, Government of India. Okay. Now why do we need to know that the rights are granted by a central government, or a country grants the rights for you basically? So this is very much essential. Reason being that once you have the rights, patent rights, you have the rights only for that particular country. So if you have a patent in India, that means your rights are only restricted to India. But then what about other countries? Then therein we have the concept of PCT as well as the Paris Convention Treaty, which we would be discussing later. For example, so if a company wants to sell, let's say, use their research invention, or if they want to sell a particular product, then they have to protect in each of the country independently, because if you have a patent in India, you cannot enforce that patent in some other jurisdiction, right? So and to do that, then there are multiple systems, like one we call as a PCT route, a patent cooperation treaty. The other one is through Paris Convention Treaty, which is also called as a through the convention route. Of course, we'll see in detail about them as well later. But this point of time, we need to understand that patent is an exclusive right. That is, it creates monopolies granted by a government for a limited period of time, of course, for 20 years. For disclosure of an invention. Now, this is very much critical. Reason being, this is for disclosure of your research invention. That means you need to understand the invention first, and then while drafting, you need to disclose that invention in a way that other people can actually learn and use that invention once the patent is expired. That means for a research invention or for an invention that we are carrying out in the lab, okay, you are disclosing it to the entire public, then only you are getting the rights. Okay. Now, in terms of patent drafting or writing, you can disclose, for example, or you can write a patent only when you understand the invention per se. And we know, as a technical person, like we have people from food technology, biotechnology, chemical sciences, as well as most of the people are from pharma. From these research invention, if you go to a lawyer not be in a position to understand all these inventions. That is why we are technical people, as we are allowed as patent agent to practice in front of a patent office. Now, as a patent agent from pharma field, I would understand the invention of pharma field, that I may be in a position to draft in a proper format and then submit it to the patent office. So what is essential is you need to disclose the invention properly, then only you would be getting the monopoly rights. That's the key for this. Because why are we creating monopoly right? Because we have to kind of so there is a cost involved in research, and to compensate that cost we are creating monopoly for a limited period of time. Now, whom are the rights granted? The rights are granted either to the inventors or to the assignees. So inventors are the, so an inventor can file the patent directly, a human being can file the patent directly, but an assignee, that is a company, let's say XYZ company, cannot file a patent without an inventor. So inventor is mandatory and assignee is kind of optional. But if you are working with a company, in that case, the ownership, see, inventor or assignee, these are the terms. So all these definition or whatever I'm telling you is not part of the act per se. Many of the things are not exactly disclosed there, but this is a conceptually, what does it mean by patent, or what does it mean by patent, or patent legal rights basically. So what rights you are getting? Rights are monopolistic right for 20 years. Who is giving you the legal right? It is given by your central government. Why is it given? Because you are disclosing the invention to everyone. Remember, your patent application comes in in public domain after 18 months. So you are getting that monopoly so that you are adding value to the research ecosystem, and that research can per se be later used by other people as well once that particular patent gets expired, that is after the limited period of time. Now what, so basically there was a very famous statement quoted by US Supreme Court that anything under the sun made by the hand of a man is patentable. Now what are the things that are patentable? इसके लिए US Supreme Court ने किसी judgment पे ये very this is a very famous quote कि anything that is made by the hand of a man, okay, can be actually patentable. So patent किसी भी चीज का मिल सकता है, but then what are those conditions? First of all, what we have seen here is a patent is a national right? But then we have some obligations once we entered into the we entered into the the WTO's TRIPS and WTO. That point of time we had to abide by the laws of WTO, and under TRIPS Article 27 gives you criterias for which actually you can get a patent. Now Article 27 of TRIPS provides some provisions which each and every country has to comply with those requirements of TRIPS. That is very much essential. Then only, so under when you are part of a agreement or a treaty, your national laws have to be in line with the that particular treaty. Now TRIPS is a treaty wherein now it simply says that you can have patents. Now just for a time being, forget about the US Supreme Court's that famous statement, but what are those actual requirements practically? So you can have patent for products or processes. Okay, so it can be either a product or process in the field of technology, and you would get patent only under 3 conditions: when that technology or that invention is new, involve an inventive step, and are capable of industrial application. Now the inventive step may be used is a term used parallelly or synonymously with non-obviousness and capable of industrial application. That's what we call it as utility or usefulness of that particular invention. Now, Article 27 of TRIPS also gives you some kind of liberty for not providing the patents for certain inventions. And this is what one thing that India has used very effectively to stop evergreening of the patents. So we'll see what does it mean by evergreening of the patents, and why does actually from a policy perspective, why is it necessary to have exclusions for patentability as well, patentability of the certain inventions basically. But Article 27 of TRIPS, look at the language that has been used by TRIPS. Okay, member. So India is a member of TRIPS. So I'm reading the second subclause of Article 27. Members may exclude. Even in the third, it's members may also exclude. So it is at the discretion of the members to exclude these things. Now, when TRIPS doesn't say you exclude it. Okay, TRIPS says members may exclude things that they believe are necessary for their territory or country. Now India has used, as a country, has used these two provisions in the Indian Patent Act very effectively, or I would call very smartly as such. Okay, and let me tell you, these are the requirements, same requirements for all the countries across the world. So all the patent laws across the world are compliant to Article 27 of TRIPS. Okay, so this forms actually the basis of India's Patent Act. So we know now that there are three requirements as per Patent Act for the getting a patent granted. One is novelty, second inventive step, third industrial application. But also we know that what is essential here is that the patent that is granted is for an invention or research activities only. So you would be getting a patent for research or R&D related activities only if that thing satisfies three separate criteria: novelty, inventive step, which is also non-obviousness, and third is industrial application or utility. This is what the general understanding is. This is what TRIPS also says. We'll also see where is exactly this included in our Indian Patent Act as well. Now, so let us start with the first one basically. So the first requirement of novelty. Novelty as a word simply means that the invention should be novel. So that means it has been happening for the first time in the. So although you would be getting your rights for a particular country, okay, if you are filing a patent in India, you would be getting your rights only restricted to India. But when assessing the novelty, it is the absolute novelty, that is a global novelty. For example, if your invention is actually disclosed in a document in let's say Turkey a year before you file a patent in India, still that our document as well acts as a prior art for your invention per se. So this is what we call as a prior publication. Okay, so prior publication is one thing that destroys the novelty. Okay, novelty means it should not have been published earlier, it should not have been presented earlier, it should not have been used earlier as well as it should not have been filed in India as well. Means I'll tell you what, we have this first to file patent system. The one who files first would be getting the patent for that particular invention. But what happens is, for example, someone has filed a patent 6 months back, and then you have uh, another patent filed for the same invention after 6 months. So 6 months back, जो invention patent filed है, it is still not in public domain. Reason being कि the patent application gets published after 18 months, what we call as a dormancy period, wherein the patent application once filed is not in public domain basically. So it's not published. So prior filing, what we also call as a secret prior art, because for example, if I file a patent application today, I don't know what has been filed a month back, 6 months back, or rather 17 months back, 17 months, 29 days back rather. Okay, so that means in case of research, in case of patent filing, there is always a risk of these around 17 or 18 months. So if there is anyone else who has filed the application 18 months back, okay, if and it gets published, that person would get a patent rather than you. So novelty is killed because of prior publication, prior use, prior presentations. All these things are not allowed under the novelty clause basically. So in case of novelty, the another term that has been used in the Indian Patent Act is anticipation. So I think I have just, okay. So I have got this particular chart wherein it gives you the exceptions to anticipation. Okay. One thing, for example, I have a patent that is filed today. Okay, I have a research for which I am filing a patent today, and someone has published it, that particular research earlier, then it is my invention is not novel per se. The another term for that is being used in the Indian Patent Act is that invention is anticipated by the prior art. Okay, prior publication say my invention is anticipated. Novelty ka alternative, so it's like relative to each other. Anticipation is a terminology which is referring to actually novelty. Okay, novelty killing जिसे हम बोलते हैं, that is anticipated basically. Now novelty per se is disclosed in section 2L of Indian Patent Act, wherein new invention means any invention or technology which has not been anticipated by publication in any document or used in the country or elsewhere in the world. This is what I'm talking about, absolute novelty rather than a country specific novelty. Now the subject matter जिसके लिए मैं patent file कर रहा हूं, that is not in public domain basically. This is what your new invention section 2L definition actually provides. Now in case of novelty, as I said, the terminology that is being used is anticipation as well. In case of anticipation, there are some exceptions to anticipation basically, and all these exceptions are provided under section 29 to 34. In few cases, your document is not anticipating, means for example section 29 says that आज कोई invention है जो मैं फाइल कर जिसके लिए मुझे पेटेंट फाइल करना है, but without my consent, if someone else has published it 3 months back, in that case it is not presumed that there is an like that document doesn't anticipate, so there is still novelty although it is published. So all these exceptions to anticipation are provided under section 29 to 34. It may be, for example, at times for some reasons I have to communicate it to the government, that is also an exception. See, basically when we say absolute novelty, आज जो इन्वेंशन मैं इवैल्यूएट कर रहा हूं, आज से पहले कल तक what is in public domain, that is what we call as novelty, absolute novelty, anywhere in the world, in any language. But then if out of those documents, if there is one document which has been published, someone has taken or stolen that document from me. So this happens with many of the cases. I had couple of cases jahan pe in one of the cases, in a particular lab, two people were working, and they were one of them was actually wanted to file a patent, and when he came to us to file a patent, we discovered one particular publication which was in public domain, and unfortunately that publication was from his lab mate. And then he realized that अरे ये तो same, we use the same system, this particular guy took my invention and he published. I'm not aware at all. But when we were searching for the novelty destroying document, that point of time, we understood or we realized that, okay, this has actually happened. So without my consent, if someone has stolen my invention, or without my consent, if someone has actually published that particular invention, or even for that sake filed the patent, in that case it is not, there is no novelty destroying, or there is no anticipation per se. This is what section 29. Same applies to communication to government, some public display or public working as well. As well as of course section 33 speaks about provisional and complete. We'll see what does it mean by provisional and complete specification later. That point of time you would understand this. But as of now, what we need to understand is one of the major requirements for patentability is the novelty. That means novelty, the invention has to be new till yesterday. मतलब आज अगर मैं पेटेंट फाइल कर रहा हूं 12th अप्रैल 2020 को, तो 11th अप्रैल 2020 तक जो भी इन पब्लिक डोमेन में है, that is actually a prior art for me. If my invention is available there as such in any form, in any language, be it a presentation, be it publication, be it through a video, be it through a Facebook the message, be it through some WhatsApp forwards, or be it through a newspaper, that is destroying the novelty. And the exceptions are provided under section 29 to 34. Now, the second requirement is inventive step, also called as non-obviousness. Now, non-obviousness is that one step or one criteria for patentability based on which the patent agents or patent attorneys actually, or even litigators actually earn a lot of money out of it. Reason being, novelty to koi bhi assess kar lega. A scientist knows better than me what is like how is his uske jo bhi invention hai, whether that is novel or not. Hum log jab when we actually have do our master's thesis, or like we do our PhD research, that point of time the very first thing we do is we do the literature survey. In that we come to know that अरे हमारा नया है. That newness we always actually try to identify per se. But then the second step is inventive step, non-obviousness. It simply means that your invention should not be predictable enough. Now, what do you mean by predictability of the art? Now, जो prior arts है, for example, now I have got a pen in my hand. Now this pen has at the back end got a USB or the pen drive basically. Now what happens is I have an invention which has got a pen with a USB. Okay. Now, but there is not a single document in the entire world which provides a combination of a pen with a USB or a pen drive. Now, is my invention novel? Yes, my invention is definitely novel because there is not a single document which provides these two things together as such. But then there are documents, separate documents. One document gives you idea about a pen. Okay, it gives the functionality of a pen. The other document gives you an idea or the functionality of a USB or pen drive. What I am doing is I'm just combining these two things. Okay, so that's what we call now. And what is the end product doing now? Is it predictable? Yes, it is predictable. This end product serves two purposes. One, it's useful for writing as a pen, as well as it can actually have a data which is, I would say, which can carry the data as such. Now this is what we call as obvious. There are two separate documents which disclose your invention, not one document. See, Noveltica, one of the requirement is that it has to be disclosed in a single document. Okay, now if it is not disclosed in a single document, then the next tier of patentability criteria is applicable, and that is called as non-obviousness or inventive step. I use this very funny example to actually, tell you or kind of clear your concept of non-obviousness. Although this particular thing is not patentable because of other clauses or other criteria. So let me actually repeat that particular example here. If you have heard me earlier, like speaking about non-obviousness, maybe you would find this as a repetition, because I can see few of the students have heard me earlier in some of the classes. So I have a daughter who is around 8 years old. Okay, now when she was around let's say 8 months, my first daughter, okay, she was around 8 months old, she started eating for the first time. Okay, now for us as a parent, first child eating for the first time was new for us, so it had a novelty. What we did, we actually took her pictures. Her name is Shreyasi as she ate a piece of an apple today. Okay, and we displayed that pic, or like, on the WhatsApp, we shared with everyone. We were so happy Shreyasi ने आज apple खाया करके, because it was new happening for us for the first time as a parent. Right now, when you have an invention or a research, and when you actually file a patent for that, how is that novelty calculated? Now that this is what the patent office does with your invention. It checks whether it is new globally or not. Okay, now if it is globally novel, it is not disclosed anywhere in the world, then your invention is presumed to be novel. It satisfies the novelty criteria. Now coming back to the so Shreyasi is smart like her father. On second day, what she did is Shreyasi ate a piece of pineapple. Okay, now listen carefully. Shreyasi eating a piece of pineapple for us as a parent, is it new? Yes, it is new. Okay, Shreyasi had never eaten a pineapple. Shreyasi had eaten an apple, but now this thing may be new. Shreyasi eating pineapple for us as a parent is new, but now the next question is, if a child can eat an apple, can the child eat pineapple as well? Yes, it is pretty much predictable that the child can eat. If a child can eat an apple, child can eat pineapple as well. So this is how though it is predictable. That's what we call, although it is novel, it is predictable. It doesn't satisfy the criteria of inventive step. It doesn't have any inventive step as such, because it has got a because both are fruits. A child who can eat an apple is predictable that the child would eat pineapple as well. The same thing happens with your invention. For example, with the same pen, okay, now if I say that my invention is a blue pen, okay, and exactly similar pen is available. Of course, we know that the color of the pen is not patentable, but still, for example, if there is another pen which is like pink pen, and so I say this is novel. Is this novel? Yes, this is novel, but then this is predictable as well. So you can not just change the color of a product and say that it involves inventive step as well. So it is kind of predictable. Now let us go back to again the novelty and inventive step differences. On third day, what Shreyasi does is, Shreyasi is smart like her mother. What she does is, on third day, she ate a small spoon, thoda sa na usne na ice cream khaya. Now the question, the same question, okay? Shreyasi eating ice cream, is it new? Yes, Shreyasi eating ice cream is definitely new. Not because she had never eaten ice cream. So we are discussing just about we as parent, like, you know. So Shreyasi had never eaten ice cream. That is novel. Now, is it predictable? A child who can eat an apple, a child who can eat a pineapple, can the child also eat ice cream? If you are answering right there, yes, the child can eat ice cream as well. This is what your examiner or the controller says. But then we as a patent agent get paid to actually prove that it is non-obvious. My first argument is that to prove the non-obviousness or to show the unpredictability of the art, I'll tell the examiner that, see, ice cream is not a fruit, right? That works well, right? Ice cream is not a fruit. A child who can eat an apple or a pineapple need not, they are fruits, need not necessarily eat ice cream. Now, the examiner at times is smarter than us. What the examiner says that the ice cream has a fruit flavor. Okay, now the examiner still says your invention is novel, but it is still obvious because it has got a fruit flavor now. Now, at this point of time, what I try to do is I try to distinguish fruits, the apple, pineapple with the ice cream. I tell the examiner that, first of all, fruits were in, let's say, a very solid state. Okay, my ice cream is kind of in semi-liquid or semi-solid stage. That's what the difference is. A child who can eat a solid item or food item cannot, it's not predictable that that child can also eat a semi-solid food item as well. That is one difference. Second difference is, for the same product, I am saying, see, the fruits were at room temperature. So the child had senses when the child ate or touched that particular food item. The fruits were at 35. Of course, abhi yahan pe temperature is around 35. So normal room temperature pe, but ice cream was frozen. It was at a chilled temperature. That's how and so a child who can eat an apple or pineapple, okay, need not necessarily, or it is not predictable that the child can eat ice cream as well. It is not at all predictable. It is not obvious, and grant me the patent. Okay. Now, based on this non-obviousness criteria only, and what happens is, in most of the cases, what we research we get from the academia, even from the corporates, they are very, very sure about the novelty criteria. They have got research that is novel, like, you know, but most of the applications have got this non-obviousness, or like, you know, they are stuck in the non-obviousness or inventive step, because it is very much predictable. Because during research, generally in pharma technology, food technology, biotech, or process chemistry, what we try to do is we get, first of all, get inspired from something. What we try to do is we try to just replace one of the ingredients or parameters from that particular reference, and we replace that. Okay, most of the theses that are happening in India are from on more or less the same platform. Most of the research that is happening in India with the SMEs, MSMEs, small entities, academic research comes in this criteria only. So we have got more number of applications which are rejected based on the non-obviousness. And as I said, patent agents or attorney get really paid really very high too, because this is one criteria based on which actually it is very difficult to prove. Now, so this is the second criteria which is included in section 21JA. This is one section which gives you more idea about inventive step, also called as non-obviousness. Okay, so of course this is the actual definition that has been provided herein. In fact, if you see that although it calls inventive steps, the invention not obvious to a person skilled in the art. Person skilled in the art is someone who is in that particular area of research, basically, so this is the secondary criteria. Primary criteria for getting patent awarded. So you would be getting a patent. For example, if you have a research, you would be getting a patent only if it is novel, it involves inventive step, that is non-obviousness, and thirdly, it has got industrial application, also known as utility. Now, industrial application or utility is covered under section 2(1) AC, that is so section 2 basically of Indian Patent Act provides you lots of definitions, but the major patentability criteria are actually covered under these three clauses: 2L, 2JA, and 2(1) AC. I think it's 2(1) L as well. I'm not sure. We'll just have to. I think it is 2(1) L. Yeah. So there may be, like, I think there were instances wherein this particular question was directly asked about patentability criteria in India, as well as there were specific questions about these particular definitions as well. So these are very fundamental. The very first thing when you speak about patent to anyone, then these three criteria of novelty, inventive step, and industrial application are very much essential. These are criteria set by the TRIPS. Now, this is what is required as far as getting a patent or patentability is concerned. Now, if we try to club the US Supreme Court judgment or the statement that anything under the sun that is made by the hand of a man is patentable, provided it satisfies all these three criteria: novelty, inventive step, and industrial application. So, but TRIPS has provided you some exclusions as well. इन कुछ चीजों को आप patentability से exclude कर सकते हैं. Now India has got a huge list of inventions which are excluded as such from the patentability, and this list is covered under section 3 and section 4. Section 4 is about the inventions which are related to atomic energy. Basically, these are not patentable in India. And section 3 provides a huge list of things which are not at all patentable in India. There are lots of questions in paper 1 as well as paper 2. Even the, I would say, hypothetical case studies or advising the clients kind of stuff, jahan pe all these sections are very much essential actually. So there are from A to P all the sections which have got patentability exclusions. So these are the things which are not, which if your invention falls under any of these things, you won't be granted a patent, or your examiner would actually reject your patent application. Now, what are these things? See, I'll tell you what happens is most of the times as a patent agent, it is your duty to ensure that your invention doesn't fall into all these criterias. So if a research comes to you, or if an invention comes to you, beyond novelty, beyond obviousness, the and industrial applicability, you have the next step that you would be doing is it patentable in India, or is it excluded under all these provisions? Now, every exclusion has got its actual meaning as well. If you see 3N and 3O, okay, presentation of information and topography of integrated circuits, these are the two things, or even 3K for that sake, mathematical or computer programs, or 3L literary. Now see, 3K and 3L are covered in copyright. That's why they are actually excluded here. As well as presentation of information may be part of copyright. That's why it is excluded here. This is what I was trying to tell you when I told you in the very first few minutes, like if something is covered under some other type of IP, then that may be excluded here. So section 3K, 3L, 3O integrated circuits have got separate kind of IP, and 3P as well, which is a traditional knowledge. Okay, we'll see one by one now what are these criterias, or with some examples. And there is a way to remember this as well. Okay, I have just put what I have done is one of the letters is in blue color, actually highlighted, right? It's in bold. If you just see the entire A to P sections, all, and I have put a phrase niche, FMDF, AAA, SPML, SITD. So how to remember that? You just like, you know, maybe if you remember this particular term, then probably you would be in a position to remember all the sections. Now, section 3A is frivolous invention, something which is against the law, or like, you know, it's actually not a machine, or it's against the natural laws basically. Now, what does it mean? For example, we know that input energy is equal to output energy. If you come up with a invention, like, you know, so I'll tell you an example. जब हम लोग छोटे थे ना, तो we used to go to these fun fairs and all. वहाँ पे ना कहीं पे ना एक ऐसे there used to be a pot, and उस pot से continuous पानी नीचे गिर रहा है, although it doesn't have support from any of the sides, right? मतलब पानी अंदर नहीं आ रहा, but सिर्फ नीचे गिर रहा है, right? And we used to amaze, ये हो कैसे रहा है? Where is that input energy? There is just output energy. So पानी बस नीचे जा रहा है, ऊपर पानी, उसमें पानी कहाँ से जा रहा है? We never used to realize. But then there was an input energy that water used to go. So there was there used to be a pipe within that water, जो नीचे गिर रहा है, उसी flow के अंदर एक pipe होता था, उससे वो पानी ऊपर जाता था. And that's why it was perpetual. Now, if you come up with a machine, okay, a perpetual machine where there is no input energy but only output energy, those are called as frivolous inventions. Those which are against the proven natural laws, they are not patentable in India. Section 3A restricts that. Section 3B, contrary to public morality. For example, there is a war happening, and what you do is you come up with a product, go to like your boss and say, boss, I have got a product which would kill all the like enemy public, a virus or a product which is used for mass destruction. Okay, that is again not allowed. It's contrary to public morality. Section 3C, mere discovery of a scientific principle without, so this section 3C cannot satisfy the industrial applicability clause, because it's just a physical equation. There are lots of people who come to me and say, sir, हमने ना नया एक equation identify किया है. How can we patent it? Absolutely no, it is not possible under section 3C. 3D, a very kind of clause which has been in discussion for long especially in the pharmaceutical and chemical sector, basically, which doesn't allow you to have a patent for if you do not have the therapeutic efficacy. So it is a new form of a substance, a new salt, a new polymorph, or new ester. So now this is one clause which India has got with that exclusion from the TRIPS. Okay, and let me tell you, India's this particular clause has been replicated by many of the countries, include Asian countries like Philippines, I think, or even Indonesia has got some section which is exactly copied from the Indian Patent Act as such. Okay, so if your invention is a new polymorph of a known substance, that is not patentable in India unless and until you can actually show the patentability for the therapeutic efficacy for that particular invention. Now, next invention is combination. When I say combination, this is again that same example, pen and USB wala. A combination, mere admixture of two things never gives you a patent. So it is excluded under Indian Patent Act. Although obviousness ke liye bhi same. So, but then one of the reasons why they are not granted a patent is because of the obviousness criteria as well. Because the other two, you can, if you are just combining these two. Now, what happens is if I have got two products, okay. For example, I have got water and I have got coffee beans or coffee powder, and I just mix them, and it gives me a kind of a different result. Okay, what I should expect ideally is the taste of coffee and water. Okay, but if I combine, mix it, and come up with a new product, let's say kind of it's a cold coffee or some other features it has got which gives it a different taste outrightly. This is what typically we call as a synergy, basically. Like, if one component plus second component, in that case, if you combine that, if you're getting extra added results, in that case, you can actually satisfy the section 3E. If there is a synergy between two products and they are mixed, then you can get a patent. You can come out of section 3E as well. This is very commonly done with the combination products. Section 3F applies to processes, arrangement or rearrangement. For example, there is a process for preparing a particular product which has got steps A, B, and C and D. What I do is I do A, C, B, and D. It is new, it is novel, absolutely fine. But that falls under section 3F, which doesn't allow the patentability for that. Method of agriculture and horticulture are not allowed in India, of course, for obvious reasons, to protect the agricultural sector, as well as we have got so section 3G is not there, which is actually omitted or repealed long back. Okay, section 3I, another one which is related to the pharma industry or the chemical industry. A method of treatment for a particular, even for the food or nutritional industry. I've got a lot of nutraceutical clients who come up and they say, sir, we have got a product which is very much useful for the treatment. Now, a method of treating something or a surgical method for that sake, a curative, prophylactic, diagnostic, therapeutic, they are not at all allowed in India under section 3I. 3J, plants and animals in whole, very specific to, I would say, biotechnology or again microbiology for that sake, they are not at all allowed under section 3J. 3K, 3L, we have seen mathematical or computer program. These are part of the copyright. A literary artistic work again is a part of a copyright. Now, mere scheme or rule or method of performing mental act. In fact, last week only I got a call from one of the inventor. He said, sir, अभी लॉकडाउन में घर पे बैठे क्या करे पता नहीं चल रहा, मैंने ना कुछ नया माइंड गेम ढूंढ के निकाला है. Okay, can I patent it? I said, no, man, it's not allowed under section 3M. Actually, a mind game. So this particular section 3M doesn't satisfy the industrial utility criteria, basically. Mind games or something which doesn't have any industrial applicability per se. What I told him is, what you do is, based on that game, come up with end product. Okay, therein also I won't check your what was in your mind, but I would check the novelty for that end product only, or non-business for that end product only, and based on that I can guide you. 3N, presentation of information is not patentable. 3O, topography of integrated circuits. Engineers know what does it mean by topography of integrated circuit. Traditional knowledge. This is one thing which has been continuously being bombarded or asked in mainstream media, newspapers, even even in the patent agent examination. You have got lots of questions related to this. Now, haldi or turmeric is not patentable. Everyone knows that. Traditional knowledge means that जो भी traditional knowledge है, which may not be disclosed per se, but that cannot be patented. Now, does that mean any herbal product cannot be patented? If you ask this question, prima facie, it seems any herbal product cannot be patented. But I can show you maybe in the next session some patents that are granted for herbal products right here in India. Now, haldi or turmeric cannot be patented as a product, but I can actually formulate that turmeric in a, let's say, solid dispersion dosage form, or let's say one different kind of product which is new. It satisfies the criteria of novelty, non-obviousness, and as well as industrial applicability. It doesn't fall under the traditional knowledge, that because we have presumed that the solid dispersion using a particular excipient with turmeric is novel. That's fine. Okay, so in that case, the traditional knowledge criteria doesn't apply. Traditional knowledge criteria applies only if you try to claim the product per se. Turmeric को मैं हल्दी का ही मुझे patent चाहिए. No one else would be in a position to take the patent on haldi. No, that, or no one should be in a position to use haldi. That is not possible. Or turmeric ka ek, let's say a powder formulation you are trying to claim, which is already available. Or so you work on it, take the turmeric, come up with a product which gives you some advantages. Like for example, haldi has got water, it's highly water insoluble, as well as haldi has got a issue with respect to staining. When uska stains reh jata hai, right? Haldi ka on clothes or on your, even on your skin, right? Now, if you come up with an idea or a research which actually gives you a product which removes all these difficulties of use of haldi or turmeric, in that case, your invention may be patent, may be patentable if it satisfies all other criteria. Now, section A se leke section P tak, there is no section 3G. We have got 15 different things which are not patentable in India. If you now what you can do today is, like, you know, once the session is over, if you get an idea, if you get it some time, that point of time, you try to go through all these sections that we have covered today. Section 3, section 4. Of course, section 4 is very clean and clear. Section 21J, section 2L, section 21JA, section 21AC, okay, which are patentability criteria, as well as exceptions to anticipation. In 2011, okay, one thing I think that I skipped here is section 13, which is prior filing or secret prior art, which is covered under section 13. Now there was a question directly on this, which was like, enumerate the key issues in the Indian Patent Act on search for anticipation by previous publication and by prior claims. Now, previous publications, anticipation is covered in section 31 that gives you more idea about what are the exceptions, वो चीज expected था. And section 13 speaks about prior claiming. That means आज अगर मैंने फाइल किया है, मेरे से पहले कल किसी और ने फाइल किया हुआ है, तो that person मेरे लिए वो anticipatory है. This is what we call as a secret prior art. Now you try to read all these sections that we have mentioned today. Of course, I'll share the details as well for all these notes for this whatever we discussed today in that. And then maybe if there are any further questions on today's session as well, we'll take it not tomorrow but day after tomorrow we'll take, because we'll review all this again for 5 or 10 minutes. We'll take some questions if any on this after you read this, because tomorrow we would be discussing the paper 2 wala part. Okay, so then we can actually take those particular questions. So now I'm uploading this particular video on YouTube as well. The chapters that we have covered today, chapters, when I say is chapters, as Indian Patent Act has got different sections under which you have got separate chapters. The chapters that we have already covered today are chapter 2 and chapter 6. Okay, now so let me go through the questions. I think I have got a few questions here. Yes, Kanchan, please help me understand the difference between assignee applicant. Assignee and applicant is so Article 27 is one of the important topics for paper. So Article 27 belongs to TRIPS, not to the Patent Act. First of all, remember our Patent Act is dependent on I would say the TRIPS actually. That's why we have got this particular Article 27. Now applicant and inventor, the difference is, as I said, inventor is a human being. Like now Vijay Shivpuje is working with Patlex Business Solutions. Vijay Shivpuje can independently file a patent. Okay, Vijay Shivpuje being a part of a company, Patlex Business Solution, Patlex Business Solution can file a patent. Okay, it is an applicant. I am an inventor. Okay, but then in that case, because the owners, in that case, the ownership lies with Patlex Business Solutions as well. If you are working with, let's say Glenmark Pharma would be the applicant, the owner, actually legal owner of the invention, but Glenmark Pharma cannot do on its own. They would require at least one human individual inventor. Uske basis pe that patent can be filed. Sir, please explain section 30. Section 30, communication to government. Actually, if you communicate your invention to government for some things, then there is no like anticipation. For example, मैंने patent filing से पहले for some let's say research funding के लिए I apply to the government. In that I have communicated my invention. Okay, then that is not destroying the novelty of the invention. That's what section 30 says. Frivolous invention, could you please provide more examples? Okay. Section 3F, frivolous inventions. Let me just see some examples if there are any on section 3A. Perpetual machine is one thing, or let me just go to section 3. Frivolous invention. What I do is for example, I invent let's say okay, I'll tell you one very nice example of frivolous inventions. नोटबंदी के टाइम पे during the demonetization, if any one of you had watched the news, of course everyone was watching the news channels that point of time. One particular news channel, I don't want to name that channel specifically, but it had a story running in which it was said that 2000 का जो नोट है ना उसमें चिप लगा हुआ है, okay, and that chip is connected to a satellite directly, and government would be tracking every note, okay, every 2000 का नोट किसके पास है, कहां पे रखा है, इसके घर में कितना नोट है. Now practically, if you see scientifically, that may not be feasible. This is what my understanding is today. Maybe after 100 years someone can do that, okay, or maybe after 20 years, but then this can be considered as a frivolous invention per se. Okay, this may be another example which I can think of as of now. Give me some time. Abhi mera age 40 ho chuka hai. I'm not that creative to come up with newer examples. Give me some time. I'll let me think of these and let you know. How will you prove that previous public display was, Shreya? Very interesting question, I would say. How would you prove that previous public display was without your consent? I'll answer this question, but Shivanand has given one particular frivolous invention, that is shoes with an umbrella. Shoes with an umbrella, maybe yes, absolutely, but I don't know whether it would be actually possible to come up with this kind of invention. But yes, it can be considered as a frivolous invention. Reason being ki shoes we use like at the, like, you know, right at the bottom, matlab पैर में हम shoes पहनते हैं, and umbrella would be right at the tops. The distance would be somewhere around, let's say, 5 or 6 feet at least, right? You know, so this can be considered as a frivolous invention. Coming back to Shreya's question, how will you prove that previous public display was without your consent? Now there are ways to actually prove that. For example, were you in possession of the invention? Yes. How can you actually prove that? That is proven by actually LNB's lab notebooks. Does the person has the access to those lab notebooks? Or for example, you have that data on your PC as well, or you have mailed that data to someone else that you owned actually, right? You know, yes, Hasti, you are absolutely correct. I'm coming to you. How will you? So there are ways out, and with technology, Shreya, it is very much possible now to see. Basically, what you need to prove is this person actually took the invention from me but didn't inform me, and there has to be some kind of coming. जैसे हम अभी कोरोना के टाइम पे contact tracing कर रहे हैं ना, how are they connected, the two patients, you know, something like that, like, you know, कि मैंने इसको बताया था, मैंने इसको मेल किया था, as well as या फिर मेरे सिस्टम में ये था, this guy accessed my system, we have the common system, और ये देखिए मेरे नोटबुक में था, and he had access to this notebook as well because he is my lab mate. I have a very interesting case actually. I got a client, and that particular student came to me and she told me that sir मुझे एक पेटेंट फाइल करना है, but the only condition is that मेरे गाइड को नहीं पता चलना चाहिए. And I don't know what is the reason for that, but then she was मेरे गाइड का नाम इसमें नहीं आना चाहिए. Now this I would consider as, if tomorrow that guide comes to know, because guide is one of the inventors, like you know, and he has a contribution, but in this case even the person who came to me is an inventor. But जैसे मैंने अपने लैबमेट को, फ्रेंड को बता दिया, and he files a patent, okay, अब मैंने जो बताया है, when I have told him, I need to have some proof, like for example मेरे LNB में होगा, मेरे सिस्टम में होगा, मेरे ईमेल में होगा. So these are like, I would call more of legal matters, and there would be a lot of debate on this. Hasti, you're right. Coming to the next thing, shoe with an umbrella can also come under section 3E for sure. Two things combined with each other as such. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, class. Any other questions that we can take? Maybe we'll take some other questions, like, you know, on next in the next lecture on if required tomorrow or day after tomorrow also we can actually take. Okay, we have got one more question. Okay. Yeah, Shreya, nothing from your side. Okay. So let us also, like, for a minute, let's get